Ali Abulaban, aka Gen Kid, had a massive following on TikTok, and on October 21st, 2021, his world came crashing down. In Ali's mind, he heard the ultimate betrayal. His wife, Anna, laughing with another man in the home they once shared. Fueled by rage and cocaine, Ali made a decision that would change everything. With his mind clouded by fury and intoxication, he armed himself and headed for the apartment, determined to confront what he believed was the undeniable proof of his deepest fears. And when he arrived, his worst fears were seemingly confirmed. Anna was there with another man, and in Ali's own words, he just snapped. In a moment of rage, Ali's actions ruined so many lives in an instant. Welcome, I'm John Cordray, a licensed mental health therapist, and today I will be providing my analysis of Ali Abulaban. I will merely speculate on Ali's actions, not provide a diagnosis. This is Inside Killer Minds. Social media has become a stage where people perform curated versions of their lives. But what happens when a facade crumbles and the real life struggles behind the scenes are exposed? This is the story of Ali Abulaban, known to his millions of followers as Gen Kid, a TikTok star whose life spiraled out of control, leading to a tragedy that shocked the nation. Ali's rise to social media fame skyrocketed. With his sharp wit and impressive impersonations, particularly of Al Pacino's character from Scarface, he captivated millions. But behind the laughter and the millions of followers was a man battling with deep-seated demons. Demons that would eventually lead to a double murder and the destruction of multiple lives, including his own. Ali's story begins long before fame. Born and raised in a home where abuse was constant presence, Ali's early years were marred by violence and instability. As a therapist, I've seen how childhood trauma can manifest in different ways throughout a person's life. For Ali, the unresolved pain from his early years set the stage for the tumultuous relationships and emotional instability that would follow him into adulthood. According to a friend, Ali never really talked about it, but you could tell something was off at home. He was always trying to make people laugh, but behind the jokes, there was this sadness. I think he was just trying to escape. Escaping through humor and performance is a common coping mechanism for those who have experienced trauma. But without the proper support and intervention, these coping strategies can only mask the underlying pain for so long. Ali's decision to join the military was likely an attempt to find structure and discipline, something he desperately needed after a chaotic childhood. However, the military environment, with its strict hierarchies and high-stress situations, can sometimes exacerbate underlying mental health issues rather than resolve them. Being in the military, especially in a role like policing, can be incredibly stressful. You're dealing with high-stakes situations, and if you're already struggling mentally, it can push you to a breaking point. Ali's time in the military ended in disgrace after he was accused of assaulting his wife, Anna. Ali had admitted to getting drunk, and while he claimed that a fall caused him to crash into Anna, witnesses reported that he hit her. This marked the beginning of a pattern of violence that would escalate over the years. Ali and Anna's relationship began with hope and love, as many relationships do. They met while Ali was serving in the Air Force, and despite the challenges they faced, they decided to build a life together. But as any therapist will tell you, love alone is not always enough to overcome the deep-seated issues that each person brings into a relationship. They appeared in love at first. Anna was this bright, vibrant person, and Ali just adored her. But over time, you could see the cracks forming. He became more controlling, more paranoid. It was like he couldn't handle the idea of her having a life outside of him. Their marriage was soon plagued by distrust, jealousy, and physical violence. Ali's unresolved trauma, combined with the pressures of maintaining his online persona, created a volatile environment. As his paranoia about Anna's fidelity grew, so did the intensity of their conflicts. Ali's jealousy reached a breaking point when he discovered intimate messages on Anna's phone. The argument that followed turned physical, and for the first time, Ali admitted to assaulting Anna. This incident was a clear escalation, a moment where his mental health struggles, combined with substance abuse, led to a violent outburst. Domestic violence often escalates over time. It starts with emotional abuse, control, jealousy, isolation can turn quickly into physical violence. In many cases, the abuser is dealing with their own unresolved trauma, but that doesn't excuse the behavior. It's a cycle that can only be broken with intervention and support. Despite the violence, Anna stayed in the relationship, a decision that many victims of abuse face. The fear, hope for change, and love for their partner often keep them trapped in a dangerous situation. Unfortunately, in this case, it would lead to a devastating conclusion. In the days leading up to the murders, Ali's paranoia and jealousy spiraled out of control. He became convinced that Anna was seeing someone else and installed an app on their daughter's iPad to secretly monitor her. This level of surveillance is a clear indication of the depths of his mental health crisis, an all-consuming need to control a situation that felt increasingly out of his grasp. And then on October 21st, 2021, Ali heard what he believed to be the ultimate betrayal: Anna laughing with another man in their apartment. In a state of fury and intoxication, he armed himself and drove to the apartment with his mind clouded by cocaine and rage. When Ali arrived at the apartment, his worst fears were seemingly confirmed. Anna was there with another man, Rayburn Barron, a friend of Ali's. In that moment, all rational thought was lost. Ali described it as an out-of-body experience, as if he was watching himself from the passenger seat of his own mind. He pulled out his gun and started shooting, unable to stop. During the trial, Ali broke down as he recounted the events. He claimed he didn't remember shooting Anna, only Rayburn. The dissociation he described, a sense of watching the events unfold without control, is a common reaction to overwhelming trauma and stress. But this detachment doesn't absolve him from his responsibility. Ali was found guilty of 2 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to 2 consecutive 25-year life sentences. The judge expressed doubts about whether Ali truly felt remorse for his actions. And indeed, in the following days, the murders Ali's focus seems to be more on the loss of his social media career than the lives he had taken. This case is a tragic example of how mental health issues if left unchecked, can lead to devastating consequences. While Ali's mental state was undoubtedly a factor, the jury ultimately decided that it did not excuse the severity of his actions. The tragedy of Ali is not just a story of crime. It's a story of missed opportunities. Opportunities to intervene, to provide support, and to address the mental health issues that were festering beneath the surface. It's a reminder that behind every act of violence, there is often a deeper story of pain and suffering that can lead to catastrophic outcomes. As a society, we are often captivated by the personas we see online, forgetting that behind every post and every video, there is a real person with real struggles. Ali's case highlights the dangers of living a double life, one that is carefully curated for public consumption and another that is falling apart behind closed doors. The pressure to maintain an image online can be overwhelming, especially for influencers who build their identities around their content. For someone like Ali, who was dealing with deep-seated issues, the need to present a perfect life online likely exacerbated his mental health struggles. Social media can be a double-edged sword. It offers connection and validation, but it also can create isolation and stress. For those struggling with mental health issues, the pressure to maintain an online persona can be devastating. The story of Ali is a cautionary tale, a reminder of the importance of mental health awareness and intervention. It's a story of lives destroyed by violence, trauma, and untreated mental illness. But it's also a story that forces us to reflect on our society, on the pressures we place on ourselves, on others, and on the importance of reaching out for help when we need it. My analysis. Analyzing the case of Ali Abulaban reveals several key areas of concern, including unresolved trauma, untreated mental health issues, and the toxic interplay of substance abuse, social pressures, and domestic violence. This is my detailed analysis that explores these aspects and their potential impact on Ali's behavior, his relationship with his wife Anna, and the tragic outcome. Ali's childhood was marked by abuse and instability. It likely played a significant role in shaping his adult behavior. Research shows that adverse childhood experiences can lead to a range of negative mental health outcomes, including depression, anxiety, and an increased risk of engaging in violent behavior. Individuals who experience trauma in their formative years often struggle with emotional regulation, self-worth, and establishing healthy relationships in adulthood. According to Ali's mother, Ali's father was verbally and physically abusive to her and to Ali. Ali's childhood trauma may have contributed to a sense of insecurity and a need for control. These unresolved issues likely manifested in his adult relationships where feelings of jealousy and paranoia became overwhelming. Ali's violent tendencies and inability to handle conflict could be traced back to the unresolved pain and maladaptive coping mechanisms developed during his childhood. Ali's time in the military, while providing structure and discipline, may have also exacerbated his mental health struggles. The military environment can be highly stressful, particularly for individuals with pre-existing emotional or psychological issues. The pressure to conform to rigid standards of behavior, combined with the stress of policing and combat roles, can sometimes trigger or worsen mental health conditions, such as PTSD, depression, or anxiety. Ali's discharge from the military under less than ideal circumstances might have led to an identity crisis. The loss of his role as a serviceman, coupled with the shame and stigma associated with his discharge, could have deepened his sense of failure and worthlessness. This identity crisis, compounded by his inability to find a new sense of purpose, may have further destabilized his mental state. The relationship between Ali and Anna was marked by significant turmoil, including accusations of infidelity, physical violence, and emotional manipulation. From a therapeutic standpoint, this dynamic is often seen in relationships where one or both partners have unresolved trauma or untreated mental health issues. The cycle of abuse, where periods of tension are followed by violent outbursts, apologies, and brief reconciliations, is a common pattern in abusive relationships. Ali's increasing jealousy and paranoia about Anna's fidelity are classic signs of an abusive relationship. His need to control Anna's behavior, as evidenced by his surveillance of her through the iPad app, indicates a deep fear of abandonment and betrayal. In therapy, these behaviors might be understood as attempts to manage overwhelming emotions through control and domination, rather than healthy communication and problem solving. Ali's use of cocaine and alcohol, particularly in the lead up to the murders, highlights the role of substance abuse as maladaptive coping. For individuals struggling with mental health issues, substances often provide temporary relief from emotional pain, but ultimately exacerbate the underlying problems. In Ali's case, cocaine likely intensified his paranoia, impulsivity, and aggression, pushing him to commit acts he might not have otherwise considered. Substance abuse also impairs judgment and decision-making, which is evident in Ali's actions on the day of the murders. His reliance on drugs to cope with his emotional distress points to a lack of healthier coping mechanisms, which could have been addressed through therapy and substance abuse treatment. Ali's life as a social media influencer added another layer of complexity to his mental health struggles. The pressure to maintain a perfect online persona, especially one that garnered him fame and validation, can be overwhelming. Social media often promotes an unrealistic standard of success, happiness, and perfection, which can exacerbate feelings of inadequacy and failure in individuals who are already struggling. For Ali, the disconnect between his online persona and his successful and humorous content creator and real-life struggles likely created significant internal conflict. This duality might have contributed to his growing sense of frustration and desperation, particularly as his marriage began to fall apart. The need to present a successful front while his personal life was in shambles could have been intensified by his mental health issues, leading to a further instability. The culmination of these factors, unresolved trauma, identity crisis, substance abuse, and the pressures of social media, led to what can be described as a mental health crisis. Ali's actions on the day of the murders, including his detachment and disassociation, suggest that he was in a highly dysregulated state. His description of feeling as though he was watching himself from the passenger seat indicates a level of disassociation often seen in individuals who are overwhelmed by emotions and unable to process what is happening around them. From a therapeutic perspective, this case underscores the importance of early intervention in mental health crisis. Ali exhibited several warning signs that could have been addressed through therapy, anger management, or substance abuse treatment, and other forms of support. However, without proper intervention, his mental health deteriorated to the point where he lost control, leading to a tragic and irreversible outcome. This case highlights the broader societal implications of untreated mental health issues, particularly in the context of domestic violence and substance abuse. It serves as a reminder of the need for greater awareness, education, and resources to support individuals who are struggling. Mental health should not be stigmatized or overlooked. Intervention can prevent tragedies like this one. For those working in the mental health field, this case emphasizes the importance of addressing the root causes of violence, providing a comprehensive support to individuals in crisis, and advocating for systematic change to ensure that people like Ali receive help they need before it's too late. The tragedy of Ali Abulaban is a multifaceted case that underscores the complex web of trauma, mental health issues, substance abuse, and societal pressures. As mental health professionals, it is our responsibility to recognize these factors and provide the necessary support and intervention to prevent such devastating outcomes. The lives lost in this case, Anna and Rayburn, are a stark reminder of the consequences of untreated mental health issues, as well as the importance of addressing these challenges head on. By understanding the underlying psychological dynamics at play, we can work towards preventing similar tragedies in the future and promoting a more compassionate and supportive approach to mental health in our society. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health issues, please reach out for help. There is always hope and intervention that can save lives.